everyone, welcome back to EL Cards. Today's video is going to be about Liverpool. As you're probably well aware, they won the league for the first time in about 30 years last year, which was obviously a massive feat for them and huge for their fans, and it's just a shame that they never really got to celebrate properly and have the fans at the stadium and the bus parade and things like that. But I suppose it's just the way this year's went. A lot of things has been pretty shit, so I suppose it's a positive that they won it, and hopefully they can win it again this year to hopefully have the fans there and celebrate properly. But this season they've not had the greatest sort of start with injuries. I don't know how it's possible to have that many injuries, but it's just every game or international duty somebody in their team gets injured. So just now their backs are against the wall type job. So it's a difficult one because they've still got quality like throughout the team, but I just don't know how long it can last, and if these injuries are long term, it's going to be difficult for them. But they've got Salah back, so that should help. But we'll just see kind of what happens. So yeah, the cards that I've picked up for them and stickers, I've got a couple of stickers in there, are mainly some of my favourite players, and a couple that I think you should maybe invest in. Sort of future players or whatever. So I'll go through my collection first. So the first player is Andy Robertson. He's one of those that you could almost have a movie about him, because he came from the lower leagues in Scotland, got his move to Dundee United. I think he was released from Celtic as a kid, actually, so it kind of shows what they're missing, to be honest. So yeah, he went from Queen's Park to Dundee United, then I think it was just to Hull City, and then from Hull, I think it was about £8 million, Liverpool signed him. So it was definitely one of the bargains off the transfer window in the last sort of 10 years. The way that he's performed, and he's staking a claim for definitely being one of the best left backs in the world. A lot of people don't really invest in left backs or defenders, just for the reason that they don't really get that many goals or assists, or they're maybe not as glamorous in the way they play. And there was a famous quote from Jamie Carragher which was, "No one wants to grow up and be a Gary Neville." And if you don't know who Gary Neville was, he was a Man United legend, played right back for them. You can kind of see his point, but the game's changed since then. It's a lot more attacking. The likes of Robertson and Trent Alexander-Arnold, they get crazy amount of assists, sometimes better than the midfielders. So for that reason, these two players are kind of an exception in terms of defence. They're one that I feel like Trent's maybe a better investment just because he's English. He's got that chance of winning, or a better chance of winning the Euros and World Cups in future. The reason that I've got him is obviously because I'm Scottish, but at the same time, if he's not injured, touch wood, he is going to lead Scotland out at the Euros, which for the first time in 22 years they've never been to a tournament, Euros or World Cup. So that in itself is pretty historic, and for him to do that in front of millions of people that are watching, yeah, everyone should know who he is already, but there's just something about the Euros, and especially if they got to a World Cup, maybe that's too much to ask, but there could be an opportunity that he'll still be playing for that. And I just think having that little bit of history can sometimes help in a card, especially him being Scotland's captain. And yeah, the things that he's doing for Liverpool just now are pretty decent. So he's one that I've picked up. I've picked up his Chrome, just a basic, it's just a base $1 or something. The reason that I'm speaking in, or trying to pretend that I'm speaking in like dollars and soccer and all that is just for those in America. Even though football is, like, let's be honest, football makes much more sense because the ball is at your feet. I don't know why they've called American football, but they have. So I'll try my best to say soccer. All you English folk and Scottish, well, British to be honest, and Irish, they'll just be thinking, what the fuck are you talking about? But yeah, that's the main reason for it. So I might say football, I might say soccer, whatever. But yeah, it's just just a basic Topps Chrome. One for the personal collection. Might get graded. It looks pretty good, Nick. So yeah, that was my first pickup of Andy Robertson. And then also I picked up this. Actually, I'll just bring that closer so you can see it. It's a nice card. It looks pretty bang on in terms of being centered. So yeah, the next card was his sticker, which was, I kind of find it, I don't know, it's quite probably a rare sticker because the Euro 2020, which I'm quite gutted about because I would have loved to get some Scotland cards. But for the 2020 like select Euros, actually that's true. Nah, I'm talking shite. So this is Road to Euro 2020. So this was like obviously pre, like your group stages, all that stuff. So I think because they never qualified outright and they done it through the Nations League, that's why they weren't included in the 2020 select cards. Because like when I see like all the breaks on like Instagram and things, like Scotland aren't in it, and I think that could be the main reason is because they never qualified when they got printed. I could be wrong. Put in the comments below the reason, but I think that's maybe the reason. So it's maybe kind of like a rare card. Not that it's one that everyone's wanting, let's be honest, but the fact that there is that 2020 box, it means there is other opportunities to pick up the likes of England, Wales, France, all those teams. Whereas I've not seen many of these cards kicking about. They probably are overprinted, but because they weren't in the 2020 select boxes, the only place to get them is the road to the tournament. So, and I quite like these stickers actually, they're quite nice. So yeah, I picked him up. Same again, a couple of dollars, nothing too crazy. It's a wee bit off centre, but yeah, that'll just be for the personal collection as well. But yeah, I would have loved to have seen them in the box, but that's the way it goes. Just pray they get into the World Cup and they're in the next hobby boxes and things. So the next player is Steven Gerrard, Liverpool legend. He's got a lot of stickers from Merlin that you can pick up. They're a wee bit pricier now, probably like $30, $40, or 25 to 30 quid. So yeah, it's a lot more difficult to pick him up, but definitely one of my favourite players growing up. The things he done, like I always think that footballers don't have the kind of opportunity to do what basketball players do, and in like the last second, like get a buzzer beater or like a block, or like I just think that because basketball's so end to end, there's kind of more opportunity for like that person to be a hero in a game or to win like a championship or what have you. So that's one thing about football that there kind of isn't, that because the pitches are so big, like the chances of someone getting from one end to the other in the last minute are pretty slim. Unless like yeah, you do get the odd last minute goal. Man, you have done it. Chelsea's done it. But as an individual player to do it on so many different occasions, and essentially win Liverpool trophies has been this guy. Like his goal against, I think it was West Ham in the FA Cup final. I've actually got the DVD, would you believe, of that cup final when they beat West Ham. I think it was 3-2. And Liverpool, they struggled like in that game so much, and he pulled them out of the shite once again. He got 2 goals, and his last goal was about 35 yards out, half volley, hit like so sweetly. It was just one of the best goals in a FA Cup final ever. So he's definitely put his place in history. And yeah, I picked up this Topps card, which I thought was quite nice. It's one of his earlier. It's not like a rookie or that, but it's one of his earlier England ones. There's a couple of little bits across the top, like missing print, but overall the condition's pretty good. And when that gets graded, it'll be nice to have it in like a slab and just to keep on to it. Like I say, it's not going to grade very highly for that reason, just across the top, but it's a nice one to have. Now into a couple of players that are in the team just now and are part of that sort of the attacking three that most teams fear every game. Well, especially last season, they were just, and even the season before, they've kind of done it for 2 or 3 seasons now, that because they've not had their bad luck with injuries, they've been able to get that sort of partnership and the crowd excited, like the run-it players. Not that they've got much sort of tricks like Ronaldo did in his early days or whatever, but they get fans excited, and I think that's what you want to have when you go and watch games. So yeah, the 2 players are Salah and Mane, and I would say out of the 2 of them, I think Salah could, like I feel like Mane's kind of one of those players that he's more reserved in the way that he doesn't really want to be in the public eye. He's quite, just goes about his job. Reminds me a bit like Paul Scholes in that way. Like, you never hear about him out and about after like games, kind of, I don't know, on adverts. Just kind of football is his life, and that's all he does. And that's all he wants to do, I think. So for that reason, I think that Salah could maybe leapfrog him in the way that he's probably that wee bit more selfish, and sadly you see what kind of selfishness does with the likes of Ronaldo and Messi. You end up becoming that top player because you're taking chances, more shots, penalties, just kind of being involved a lot more in things, and you're kind of the forefront of that team, so to speak. So I do think that out of the 2 of them, if you're going to invest in one, I would invest in Salah just because of that reason. They're both kind of probably got to struggle with World Cups because of their teams. They're probably got to single-handedly probably take their country to the World Cup, which Salah done a few years ago. So I think that, like, you've got to look at that as well. Are these players going to be heroes in their country? Not necessarily got to win them a trophy, but if they get that sort of hero status in their country, that's sometimes big enough. And Salah's already got that. He is a national sort of treasure, and I don't know about Mane. I don't know about Mane, but there's every chance that he probably is one of the guys that everyone sort of looks up to in that country, and he gives a lot back to his own country. So For that reason, they're pretty level, but I just think that Salah's got that maybe he could move to that team like Real Madrid, Barcelona, someone like that. Whereas I think Mane would be quite happy just staying at Liverpool for the rest of his career. So as an investment point and just a possibility of a transfer, I think Salah would be your man out of those two. So yeah, that's the two prisms. Just base. Sadly, the silvers are a bit too expensive for me. And last but not least, I've covered Kenny Dalglish in another video, so I'll keep this short. But yeah, it would be... They've both managed Liverpool. Bob Paisley, one of the greatest managers in the history of football, won 3 European Championships with Liverpool, which is, well, Champions League, so to speak, now. But he's won everything, and he's down as one of the greatest managers ever, so I kind of had to pick him up. It was about $4 or something like that. It's in pretty good nick. A couple of wee corner issues, but that doesn't really matter. And to be honest, him being in the red with the PSA has probably got to look pretty cool. So yeah, I just picked those up because I like Kenny Dalglish, obviously being Scottish, and they're both legends. They've both written their place in history. So there's probably collectors out there that would want them. I wanted them. Let's see how they grade. And yeah, they're pretty nice. So that was my 2 stickers that I picked up. So as for the team, I would say, I'll just rattle through this quickly because obviously I've talked quite a long time already. But you're looking at Salah as an investment point, just for the reason that, like I've said before, his base is probably the one that I picked up. I think I got it for about, I think it was about $10 or something. So I think they've maybe increased a wee bit to 15, but I think because he's had coronavirus and that, he's kind of been off the boil the last sort of couple of weeks. So he's always got to pick up form and get back into it. So there's him. Mane is still a good investment. I'm not saying that. It's just between the two of them, I think that he's maybe sort of a better one. So yeah, that would kind of be my two main ones for Liverpool. And then who else? Firmino. To be honest, let's just write him. Don't know if that's how you spell it, but let's go for it. You could probably pick him up for about $5. I don't know if he's got a prism actually, like a World Cup prism. But he's one that he's probably not going to start much for Brazil. Or no, actually I think he does, but he's not like their star player, put it that way. It's more Neymar. So yeah, I'm not too convinced about Firmino, but and that's maybe not how you spell it, but whatever. Who else? You've got Curtis Jones, a young player that's kind of came on the scene recently. He's only got a match attacks card just now, which are fairly cheap. You can get a packet for, I think it's about £1, so maybe $150, something like that. But yeah, I think it's a Rising Star, it's called. It's like a yellow kind of shiny card, which match attacks is difficult because a lot of people say that they're for kids and it's kind of like a trading game, a bit like your Pokemon type thing. So a lot of like season collectors that go for prisms and things are probably not going to go for that. But to be honest, if you just want to get a Curtis Jones in your, like, it is his true rookie, so, and I do think he's got quite good potential. You could probably pick his card up on eBay for a couple of dollars or something, or if you want to rip a pack, go for it. But yeah, he's one to look out for. He scored in the Champions League recently, and he's from Liverpool as well, which helps. Kind of reminds me a bit like Carragher and Gerrard, coming through the sort of youth system. So he is one definitely to look out for. Yeah, as you can probably tell, the battery has died and I was still talking through a couple of players. So I'll just quickly recap kind of what I was talking about. The other three players in the current team, it would be Van Dijk and Trent, just for the reason that they're two of the kind of standout players. Yes, Robertson, obviously I mentioned previous, but that was just kind of on a Scotland basis. But Trent has got great potential. Yes, at right back, but I still believe he could play in centre midfield. I almost think his talent's wasted at right back, and he's not the best defensively. So he could play centre midfield quite easily. But his rookie from the Topps Chrome set is about $40, just for like a base. So he is a bit more pricey compared to the rest of Liverpool's team, which is understandable because he's English as well. Gives him that chance at the Euros and World Cups and things. So if you can afford him, definitely pick Trent up. So last but not least would be Van Dijk. On the current team, I think he was third to Messi and Ronaldo in the Ballon d'Or. I think it might have been a couple of seasons ago, which is pretty good considering centre halves don't really get the recognition they deserve sometimes. His cards are cheap. He's not one that you're going to see massive profits from, but he's one that, in terms of maybe your centre halves, that you could maybe see like profiting from, like maybe double your money or something like that. Nothing crazy, but he's one that people know about, put it that way, so you've got more chance of selling him on, or just keeping him for the personal collection, and fingers crossed when he comes back from his injury he can hit the form that he was hitting when he obviously made that run to the Champions League and the Ballon d'Or. The last player would be Gerrard. He kind of epitomises Liverpool in the way that kind of all those seasons of kind of heart that they had for 30 years. He almost got them through a lot of shit and gave them that sort of glimmer of hope in terms of winning trophies. And I understand it's a team game, but just him being from Liverpool and their captain, I do think that he kind of dragged them through the shit quite a lot. So for that reason alone, he's down as a Liverpool legend, and there's a possibility that he could manage them in the future. You never know. He's doing well at Rangers just now, so there is that chance that he could come back. And who knows, he might win a trophy with them, which would be pretty special. So he is one that I have picked up just a Topps from. It's not his Liverpool, unfortunately, because I think he's got a Merlin sticker and it could be about $30 or something like that. So you're looking at quite a big sort of starting budget for a sticker, and stickers are quite hard to grade, so you've got to bear that in mind as well, that yeah, you might be buying a sticker that you think is centred, but I've seen a lot of videos on YouTube about grading, and for some reason whenever they get their stickers back, even though they know, or they think, sorry, that it's going to come back good, it comes back like a 4 or a 3, and there's no real reasons why that is, or noticeable reasons to the eye. So that's something to bear in mind, that I think cards are a lot easier to grade. So that's why I picked up the Topps England. I don't think it'll grade well, but I just think that it's got a better chance than if I went out and spend $30, because I bought that for like 5 or something. So if I go out and spend $30 on the sticker, I could potentially get a bad grade. So I don't think it's worth your money. Unless you want for the personal collection, go for it, and you're not that bothered. But if it's something that you're going to flip on, just bear that in mind with stickers, that's not always guaranteed what you see is going to grade well, or you think will grade well. So yeah, that's my Liverpool team. The main ones for me would be Salah, Gerrard, and if you can afford it, Trent. And also just look out for Curtis Jones. I think he is one for the future. I'm not a massive fan of match attacks. There's a lot of collectors out there already, but I would be more looking for his like Prism when that comes out. But yeah, that would be my three main ones: Salah, Gerrard, Trent. So anyways, let me know what you think about this video in the comments. You can like, subscribe, press the bell icon for sort of updates or my next videos. So yeah, see you at the next one. Cheers.